One of the best resources for samples for music producers has always been music libraries. Composers like Alan Hawkshaw and libraries like KPM, Bruton, DeWolf, and Bosworth have been responsible for the sound beds behind music for decades. Just ask producers like Just Blaze, The Alchemist, MF Doom, and J Dilla. So today, I'm gonna break down how I tried to recreate that vintage music library sound from one of the samples in my interlude sample pack. So here we are in the A section. We're gonna start off with the core sound in this sample, which is the piano. Now, I wanted this piano to sound old and like it was on a record, so the first effect that I added was an RC20. And then I added the Galaxy tape echo to add some really subtle delay and atmosphere. Now, because this is just as much a composition as it is a sample, the only other instrument that I have in the A section is the Celeste. And for the effects, I went with the J37 and I used the low hash preset. What I really wanted to do with this sample was have it build up as it goes on. So the first thing that I did in the B section was I introduced this new part of the melody, which is from the violin. I just really like how that melody plays against the piano. The next thing I did was I laid down some vocals and I have them acting as a layer for the violins. And for that, I actually used my own vocals. And then the last instrument that I added for the B section was the bass. So now the third section in the sample is where all the magic kind of happens and everything really comes together. Because I really wanted the first two sections to feel like they were building up to something worthwhile.
That's what she said.
That's my joke, damn it.
So the first thing that I did in order to really let the listener know that something big was coming was I added this percussion section. The first one being this ride. And then the second one was this rolling timpani from Contact. Next up, I knew that I needed to layer what I already had there in order to make the sample sound big, so I added an extra layer of violins. And then I did the same thing for the vocals. So for the second vocal layer, I went with an instance of Omnisphere. And to get it to sound kind of like a legato choir, I bumped up the glide function just enough that it didn't sound too unnatural when I went from one note to another. I added some EQ and then I made sure that I adjusted the levels enough so that it didn't sound like it was overtaking the main layer. So once I got through with all of that, I still didn't quite feel like the composition sounded big enough, so I added a horn section. So as you can see, I really did try to build out a horn section, but let's dig a little bit deeper so you can see what I really did. The high is a legato trumpet from Session Horns. The mid is another legato trumpet from another Kontakt library. And then for the lows, I went back to Session Horns. And the reason for me arranging it this way is because when you're using MIDI instruments like this, a lot of the times it actually sounds way more natural when you use different libraries and different octaves rather than using ensemble patches. So now I'm just realizing that I'm actually about to make myself sound like a hypocrite, because next up I added a French horn ensemble. And for that, I just went with the basic Kontakt library. Now, the reason why I chose to use an ensemble patch in this instance is because what ensemble patches are really good for is creating sound beds that you can kind of have in the background of a sample. As a matter of fact, if you can actually hear these horns in the full composition, then congratulations, because you might actually be a superhero. But me adding them in was more of an attention to detail thing to kind of fill out the end of the composition rather than to have them grab your attention. And then the last instrument that I added was this guitar hit. And really, it's just there to make the last hit in the composition stand out. So now, once you put all of that together, here's what you get. And let me know how I did in the comments. Now, if you like this tutorial, but you want to learn how to make your own samples with vocals without needing a vocalist or a microphone, check out this video right here.